Hey y'all, welcome back. So for today's video, I thought it would be fun to do something a little bit more positive. I know the last couple of videos on this channel have been like pretty lighthearted and pretty fun, but last week's videos ended up being kind of heavy and that wasn't my intention. And I do think that it's important to talk about heavy subjects within the doll collecting community and like within the doll collecting hobby, because I think that if you ignore the bad stuff, that just lets it grow and fester and like it's not good, right? So I'm perfectly happy to talk about more negative things when I feel like it's necessary, but there was just a lot of heaviness last week that I didn't expect, and so I like to try to balance it out and also be able to talk about some really nice, positive, happy, fun stuff. So that's what we're doing today. I asked you guys on Instagram and then also here on YouTube why you love doll collecting, because I thought it would be really, really fun to go through everybody's answers and just kind of see the joy. I am kind of a more critical person, and I do try to be a little bit more of a critical voice because I think that, again, that can be important to hear, but sometimes it's nice to just focus on the good. And so I thought it would be fun today to just bask in all of the reasons why our little community here loves being part of the community and loves doll collecting as a hobby. This is going to be like a lot of words. Obviously, I'm going to be reading out all of your answers. I am going to try to get to every single one that was posted as of time of filming, so if I miss one, not intentional, or it might have just been posted a little bit later, but I'm going to try to get to everybody. So it is going to be a lot of reading, a lot of talking, so maybe not necessarily the most visually interesting video that I've ever produced. It might be fun for you guys to like do a craft while you listen to this, or like listen to it while you cook dinner or breakfast or something, depending on what kind of time it is where you are. But yeah, I don't know, it's not my normal content, but I just thought it would be good to do something fun and positive and just share a little bit of love today. So to kick things off, the reasons that I love doll collecting, I talk about a lot of them here. I mean, like I have a whole channel, so it comes up. It's not something I haven't talked about before. But if I had to narrow it down to two reasons, the first is just I am a collector. Like, I like to look at beautiful things, and for some people that's enough. They can go to like a museum and that's good for them. But for me, it's not enough that good things and pretty things exist in the world. They have to exist in my world, so I just love collecting. For some reason, dolls specifically draw my eye. They're just so beautiful to me. They really are works of art, in my opinion, and I love being able to walk into this room and be surrounded by all these beautiful, unique dolls that are just like little art pieces that I can interact with. It's so fun. And then the second reason that I love doll collecting is the community. This is not what started me collecting, because when I first started as a teenager, I was very much like solo as a collector. I didn't really talk to anybody else. But now, being online and being more active in the doll collecting space, it's just so nice. Yeah, there are some bad things, but we're not focusing on that today. I'm just not a person who is good at socializing in any way. It's just very difficult for me. I have a lot of anxiety and I'm very awkward, and so it doesn't come naturally to me to be social. But within the doll collecting space, there's this default topic that you can talk about and have fun with, and I have found that it's so much easier to socialize kind of bouncing off of having a shared hobby in doll collecting. And so the ability to be part of this community and interact with people in this community is the other thing that makes me love this hobby so much. So those are why I like doll collecting. Let's go ahead and start getting into why you guys love it. Okay, so I'm going to go through my Instagram replies first, and then we'll move on to the YouTube comments. First one is, there's so much out there for you to collect, they almost seem alive in a way. And I do kind of get that. Obviously, the dolls aren't like actually alive, but they kind of take on little personalities. And also, if you get them like with other people, they kind of take on the memories of being with that person, or even just if you get a doll for like a birthday, it kind of takes on the memories of that birthday. So I think that that is really cute. Second one is just cool outfits. Obviously, I agree. Look at my shelves. They do have some really cool outfits. Then we have expressing my creative vision, which I think is really cool. Definitely, some people just like to collect like what comes in the box, and that is totally fine. There's no wrong way to collect dolls, but some people like to use them for creative purposes, and I am one of those people in some regards. Like, I like buying just the dolls that come in the box, but I also do like customizing dolls. So yeah, it can be a great way to be creative as well. Next up we have, for me, it is a bonding experience with my daughter since she was 3, which means it's 6 years now. That's very, very sweet. I don't have children. I don't really intend to have children, but I do love the idea that if you are an adult collector who has a kid, you can kind of use that to grow closer to them. That's super precious. I love that. Then we have dress them and I have a doll version of a character that I like. I definitely get this, and I get this more now. I did a video not too long ago. Was this last week? Time is an illusion to me. One of the negative videos I was talking about from last week was my Monster High webisode review. Wasn't a super big fan, but I loved the character of Hoodoo. I thought that he was so funny and sweet, and now I want to make a custom doll of him because I don't have the regular doll of him because it's an SDCC exclusive, and I want to have a physical representation of the character that I did like the most from that show. So I definitely get that. If you have a character that you like from doll-related media, or even if you're making a custom from non-doll-related media, it's really cool to have a physical representation of a character that means so much to you. Then we have the hair and long dresses. Yes, there's not always a chance to be glamorous in real life if you're someone who wears those things, or to be around that glamorous sort of energy if you're not someone who wears those things. And so dolls are kind of like this miniature little example of being super fancy when you don't necessarily get to do that in real life. Or if you do get to do that in real life, maybe you just really like fancy stuff and, dolls are cute. Then we have I love to display them. It's pure magic. That's so wholesome. That made me so happy to read. I don't know. It's just cute. Then we have honestly restyling / playing dress up. And yeah, I get that. I think that it's something that we talk about within the doll collecting community, but it's one of those things that you don't mention as much, or at least I don't mention as much to people who aren't in the doll collecting community, because people who don't get it kind of see dressing them up or playing with them as very childish. But who cares? It doesn't matter if it's childish. If it brings you joy, it brings you joy, and that's actually what matters. And yeah, I get it. Restyling is a very creative thing, and then just sometimes playing dress up, it's fun. It's fun to change their outfits and let them have a new look, and it's all good stuff, so I like that one. Okay, then we have for Monster High specifically, I love that it allows me to experience the gothic horror element without being too intense or traumatic. It's just creepy cute. 100%. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that while I am obsessed with Monster High, I cannot handle horror movies at all because I just get really scared, really anxious. Sometimes I can do horror novels, but movies are completely out of my range. So yeah, I get that. It's Monster High is cute enough to not be actively terrifying, but it's still kind of edgy and kind of creepy. I totally understand. Then we have being able to get characters who help express who I am / help guide me. So wholesome. I'm gonna get emotional. But yeah, I know for a lot of people, especially who watched doll related media growing up, it meant a lot to them and it kind of helped them feel seen on screen. Or even if you just had the dolls like I did, even getting the diaries with the original Monster High line meant a lot because it was a way to connect to these characters, and it does make you feel seen. It makes it feel like there are other people like you out there. So that one's really cute. Okay, next up, the creativity in it with restyling, alterations with stock clothes, and making my own clothes. So again, the creativity, super wholesome. I know I'm just reading these out and kind of reacting. I hope that this doesn't end up being a boring video, but sometimes it's just really cool to scroll through and see a bunch of positive things and see a bunch of love. So that's what I'm going for. I hope that comes across, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, next up we have I love dressing up the dolls, and combing their hair is so comforting. I don't personally get the comfort from combing doll hair. It's fine. I like to restyle their hair, but once I restyle it, I kind of let it go. But I do know that it's a very common thing that people will redo the doll's hair or even just brush the doll's hair as a way to calm down and de-stress, and they find it calming. And that's lovely. I think it's so wonderful that something so basic can bring so much stress relief and so much calm to people. Next up we have the plastic smell of a fresh new Rainbow High doll. Being for real, it's just so relaxing to wash and style hair. So again, someone who likes doing hair, very sweet. Then we have looking at my shelves and just admiring my dolls, and also the anticipation of upcoming releases. So yeah, obviously I get just looking at the shelves and staring at them. I don't even need to touch my dolls all the time. Sometimes just looking at them is enough to make me happy. And yeah, the anticipation of upcoming releases. It's fun, and I feel like this is something that all collectors experience. Obviously we're doll collectors here, but I feel like collectors like knowing that more things are coming out and being excited for what might happen next. And so that's definitely a fun part of doll collecting too. Alrighty, then we have I love art and being able to have a mini model that can encapsulate a moment or feeling. Yes, 100% get that. Also, I can buy things for my dolls that I can't have, or in general, miniature admiration. Also, I understand this because actually owning all of the clothes that all of my dolls own would be so expensive. So it's a cool way to be able to like have these things without having to buy the like real life quote unquote version, or even doll houses if you're someone who likes doll houses. I mean, the housing market is rough right now, but you can have a doll house. That sounded so bad. I meant for that to be funny, but like that was a little rough. Really though, like I get what this person is saying with it can be cool to have like the miniature version of something that you can't afford to own in real life or don't want to own in real life, or you just like how tiny things look. I love how tiny things look. I kind of feel like I bungled that one. Let's get back to the positivity. Okay, how cool / beautiful they look, or how their fashion inspires my own, or that I have characters that I love. Yeah, definitely. You can like see a doll's clothing and be like, I never thought of that, but now I want to dress like that. 100%. Then see, I watch the media made with the dolls, so some dolls are just like getting Funko Pops of my favorite characters. Again, I'm not like the biggest connoisseur of doll media, but I do understand where people who feel this way are coming from, and I think that that is lovely. Next we have, I'm autistic, so I love stimming with my dolls, and they are comfort items to me. I love that. I feel like a lot of people can identify with that. That's good, you know, if they help you out. That's the point, you know, is to feel happiness with your collection. So that's wonderful. Next up is the feeling when I complete a collection. So kind of more of a completionist reason to love collecting dolls. That's fine. I did a whole video about like why people are completionists. But yeah, I'm sure that if you like to collect that way, the feeling when you finally do complete a line is just, it's probably unmatched. Like it's gotta be such a cool feeling. Next up, I love doing hair and restyling, plus carrying around a little gal in my purse brings me so much joy. That is such a good point. Okay, this video is going up on Friday, and Friday morning I'm actually going to be at the dentist, which sucks because it's my birthday, and I have a dentist appointment because I have to get a tooth pulled. And I'm high-key considering taking like a little tiny stuffed animal or a tiny doll or something to like put in my pocket so that I can hold on to it while I get the tooth pulled, because I am super anxious. This video is going up long after the tooth will have been pulled, so like I'm fine, presumably. But yeah, I get what they're saying, because I'm high-key considering bringing along like a little doll for comfort. Then we have when a new doll comes out I had no idea about, like the IOI Disney dolls. Yeah, it's super cool when there's like a surprise launch that you had no idea it was coming. I feel like being heavily into the doll community online, I'm kind of more aware of doll releases, and sometimes I do miss being younger and just finding out about new dolls when they happen to pop up in stores, because it was such a fun surprise. So the ILY dolls are a perfect example, because like, yeah, we got news of them online, but they pretty much showed up in stores right after that, and they were a bit more of a secret, so surprises can be so fun. Then we have the pure childlike joy I feel in my heart every time I see my displays. Yes, 100% got that one. Next, that I get to experience clothes and makeups that I feel like I can't really wear because of anxiety. This one is like bittersweet. I think it is lovely the dolls can allow this person to experience that and feel that. I definitely get having anxiety in the way that you dress, so like, while I want to express that you should absolutely be allowed to dress however you want and however makes you feel happy, first of all, I know that not everyone can afford to do that, but also I know that it's way easier said than done. So I guess I want to put the message out there that if you feel anxious about how you want to dress, if you have like the money to buy the clothes that you want, maybe just wear them around the house, even if it's way too dressed up and like there's no quote unquote reason to do it. It can bring you some joy to be able to like feel that, and it might help you gain some confidence. Obviously, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Like, I'm not trying to force that on anybody. I'm just saying, like, I get this feeling and I don't like having this feeling, so I don't like knowing that other people feel that way. But if the best way for you to kind of express your fashion sense, if you're not comfortable doing it on yourself, is on a doll, that is also wonderful, and I'm glad that they can do that for you. And then we have the social aspect, not necessarily on social media, but with friends and family when I get a new doll. I don't have really any like real life friends or family who also are doll collectors, but if you do, I'm sure that that's amazing, and I would love to get to that point someday, so I'm sure that that's a really cool feeling. Then we have playing with them and restyling them. Yes, we've had that before. Great comment. Redressing dolls helps me explore my own style. It's super fun. It's a good way to experiment. It's definitely like cheaper to buy a doll with a whole outfit than it is to buy a whole new outfit, so like it is a good way to kind of experiment with what you might like to mix and match. Then we have styling outfits and the element of creativity, 100%. The community, creative outlet, healing my inner child, emotional support, fashion. So a lot of reasons from this person, which is great. I think that if one hobby can fulfill a lot of your needs or it can give a lot to you, that's a great hobby for you to have. Looking at the dolls, they're pretty. Obviously, I agree. Okay, I love restoring dolls and giving them a new lease on life. It's so rewarding. This isn't something that I do, but I can't imagine that it's really satisfying, and it also explores that creative element. Then we have, everyone has their own way to collect. There's no quote-unquote right way, no set amount, brands, or new in box versus out of box. 100%, I love that there are so many ways to find joy in this hobby, as we are seeing in this video. Then we have how each and every doll is different and has its own aesthetic. Yes, super fun to explore a bunch of different aesthetics. I think that is all of them from Instagram. So let's go ahead and move over to YouTube. I know that means we're only like halfway done. Again, I'm sorry if this is kind of like a more boring video, but for me, like, scrolling through comments is a good example. When I can scroll through comments and everyone's having a good time, it makes me so happy. So I'm kind of hoping that listening to all these like happy comments will make you guys happy as well. I don't know. I get nervous about everything, so I'm kind of nervous about this video. But anyway, let's just keep going. Okay, I love how you can own a beautiful little piece of art. I also enjoy just having them around, and if they have a story, thinking about it. I know it sounds odd, but sometimes I talk to them. They're just fun, and I've always loved them from the first time I owned a doll. Absolutely not odd. I totally get it. I talk to myself all the time. I talk to my cats all the time. I don't think that I talk to my dolls, but I can't understand why you would. And I think that's cute. Like, it's kind of a nice, fun way. Obviously, again, like, I know they're not real, but it kind of makes you feel less alone, and especially if you do have, like, characters with all of your dolls. It's cute. Then we have I love the restoration aspect. Finding a thrift store doll in super tattered condition and bringing it back to its former glory is so satisfying and almost emotional, since I tend to personify dolls. It's also just so stress relieving because spending time with dolls lets me disconnect from the world's troubles for a little while. Again, I don't really do the restoration so much, but I get it, and I think that that is really, really sweet that you can like bring new life into something that has kind of gotten messed up. And then the stress relieving, yeah, like you get to kind of just disconnect for a while and enjoy something a little bit more pure. I love that after all these years I can finally do what I wanted to do with my dolls as a kid, set them on a shelf, never touch them, and preserve their beauty forever. Yeah, I get this. A lot of people collect dolls as a way of kind of like reclaiming their childhood or connecting with their childhood self, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm literally constantly on the lookout for dolls that I can rebuy that I had as a child that I got rid of, so 100% I get that. Then we have, it's something really simple but means a lot to me, buying my own dolls with adult money in my own name. Don't get me wrong, I love the ones I got as gifts, but to actually earn money and say, that's right, I'm an adult and I'm buying a doll, what about it, feels really good. This is so interesting because I don't think that I've ever felt this way, but I think it's really cool. Kind of just like the fact that it's empowering, because buying dolls as an adult is definitely something that you might get made fun of for, and to kind of turn that around and be like, yeah, I earned this money and I want to spend it on a doll and I feel good about that. I love that. I love that vibe. It just brings me so much comfort to have my tiny little women with me when I go out to places I know will make me anxious. I'm terrified of large crowds. I also just love the fashion and art that goes into dolls. Sometimes I get inspired to create outfits based on dolls, which is really cool. I think the doll industry has changed so much in the past few years, and it's been a lot of fun. This is so wholesome. I love that. Again, someone who uses dolls to kind of combat anxiety, which I get, I understand, and then getting inspired by dolls is so wonderful. Beyond having a community appreciating the art and talent that goes into dolls, customizing my girlies, and so much more, I think that the biggest perk is just looking at them every day, with each one of them displayed nicely in their adorable outfits, and the ability to restyle / mix and match pieces of clothing pieces with other dolls makes it so I can frequently change up my girlies so they don't get too dull, and I can keep looking at their beautiful faces each day. There's nothing like having your own personalized shelf full of beautiful girlies to admire. Super wholesome. Obviously, again, I've got my shelves. I get it. You know, honestly, I just really love clothes. Being able to dress and redress my dolls is just extremely fun for me without having to dedicate an entire warehouse to all of the clothes that were required to do that for people. I also appreciate the artistry and general aesthetics for dolls, from expensive BJDs and vintage porcelain to fashion doll lines on shelves now. I love the idea of being able to put together a single look from head to toe and then being able to preserve that look from then on if I choose. You can't do that with real clothing, since you eventually do have to take them off. This one made me laugh. I do get it completely, because yeah, it would take so much space, so much money to have all the actual like clothing that dolls can have, and then you can't preserve it as well. You can take a picture, but like a doll can just live on your shelf in a cute little outfit forever until you decide to change it. I love the creative aspect. Changing clothes, making clothes, doing hair, posing, you name it. Whatever gets me thinking creatively, I absolutely love. My dolls are like little friends too, you know? I love looking around my room and seeing little plastic people everywhere, lol. Also, the satisfaction of collecting things, especially when finding them secondhand. OMG, and fixing up secondhand dolls. I like to refer to my collection partially as a retirement home for well-loved dolls. In short, there are so many things I love about collecting. The retirement home, that is so funny. That's so cute. I love it. One thing I love is the art of the doll itself and the artistry of sculpting the body and head, as well as the design for apparel and accessories. The behind-the-scenes work, it's common for the designers of dolls or BJDs I follow and collect to share this with the community. You really get to know the artists and the characters they make. I love being a part of my smart doll community. I also love Monster High and its message. The message a doll brand puts out is really important to me and how that impacts the world at large, how it affects people of all ages and genders. But there are so many other things I love about doll collecting, especially when a doll or the whole doll brand inspires your creativity and imagination, whether it relates to dolls or not. This inspiration is honestly something that actually keeps me in the hobby even when the negative side of doll collecting and the doll communities occurs. Dolls are good for my mental health. That's wonderful. I feel like a hobby should definitely be good for your mental health. I totally get liking being able to follow doll artists on social media and kind of see like their process, because it's not something that you would necessarily think about until it's presented to you, and so it's really, really cool to be able to see that. And the idea that dolls can like represent something like Monster High tries to preach acceptance. I think that, yeah, that is a really good message, and being able to internalize that through dolls is wonderful. Okay, what I love most about my dolls is feeling like a kid again. When I am playing with them, opening new dolls, dressing them, doing hair, restoration of older dolls, photography, reorganizing displays, etc., I go into my own little world and my stresses and traumas melt away for the time. Many people refer to it as healing your inner child, but for me it is more like embracing my inner child and healing my older self. Life has been much harder since the time I originally stopped playing with and collecting dolls as a child. I became depressed by the age of 14, so I've been dealing with that for almost half my life now. In addition to PTSD and anxiety, I don't trust people and therefore don't have friends, but my dolls are my friends. Yeah, I get this. I have also had a lot of mental health struggles, and it's difficult. A lot of people can relate to that, and if dolls are a way for you to kind of heal and de-stress and feel better about your life, even if it's for a short period of time, like even if it's just while you are physically with your dolls, I think that that's wonderful, that they can bring relief. Okay, currently getting deals on the secondhand market and then cleaning up and restoring a lot of what I'm finding. Nothing is more satisfying than getting something that essentially is going off to a new life with someone else after it's been played with to the bone than making it look essentially brand new. The more I do this, the better I'm getting at styling, rerouting, and coming up with custom concepts. I think it's so fascinating how many of you guys mentioned restoring dolls, because again, it's not really something that I do super often. Like I might do a repaint here or there, but I don't really consider myself like a doll restorationist, but it's really cool how many of you guys are into that. Then we have seeing my favorite characters in real life in a physical form is the best part for me. Same type of feeling with figures. Yes, 100%. Next up, I think if I had to pick, collecting dolls as an adult almost feels like a reclaim on my childhood. They give me a sense of childlike innocence and joy when I buy them and open them, but I also can appreciate them as pieces of art as an adult. I guess they bring me a sense of balance between childhood and adulthood. I 100% agree with this, because like I had dolls when I was a kid, but I got rid of them. I obviously didn't appreciate them in the same way that I do now. So they brought me joy in a different way back then, and they still bring me joy in a different sense now. And it is really cool to kind of have that melding, that meeting in the middle of something that has continued in one way or another to be something I love my whole life. Honestly, I love that it's another art form and a way for kids and adults to experiment with fashion and social situations. That does include kiddos drawing on their dolls with a Sharpie. Yep, I know, I have done that before when I was a kid with some of my dolls. I absolutely ruined them. But yeah, like if kids are enjoying that, that's wonderful. It might seem rough to adult collectors, like I get it, but I do love that there are so many ways that both kids and adults can find joy in dolls. I love giving dolls a second chance that I find out thrifting, fixing their hair and clothes. That gives me a lot of joy. Another person who likes restoring, that's really cool. I can access the incredibly stress-reducing properties of just sitting down with some dolls and a huge pile of clothes, most of which I made myself, and just do nothing but slide clothes off and on some plastic bodies and see which look is cuter than the last. It literally melts away muscle tension and money worry and so many crappy parts of adulthood. And I can talk to them and imagine them talking back and fall in love. And it's not shallow and it's not twisted, it's just simple and uncomplicated and restorative. This is so wholesome. This is why I wanted to make this video. This is just so sweet. And yeah, I get that. Like I will sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna restyle one doll and it's gonna take me like 5 minutes, and then 30 minutes later I'm still there and I'm 2 dolls in, and it just becomes this whole thing and you lose track of time because you're having so much fun, and it's just so pure. I love it. This person said, that's a tough question for me to answer right now. Recently I've had a lot of negative feelings about the hobby. That is why I'm making this video, because I get it and it's totally valid to have those negative feelings, but like again, it's good to be able to see both sides and look at the positive sometimes, which is why we are here. So they continued, but I'd say my favorite thing about it is feeling like a kid again. I played with Barbies with my sister for a large portion of my childhood, and it was so much fun. Being a boy, my parents never really bought me dolls of my own, so now being an adult and having the money to buy them myself feels like I'm doing it for younger me. I get to buy the dolls I know I would have loved as a kid, but would have never been able to have. Also, they're pretty to look at. I was assigned female at birth, so I can't really relate to this one as much because I was allowed to have dolls as a kid and it wasn't seen as like this weird thing. But I know a lot of people who are assigned male at birth have this experience where they weren't allowed to collect dolls or play with dolls when they were younger, or at least like this person says they played with their sister but not like they didn't have dolls of their own. So yeah, I think that that's really cool to kind of reclaim their childhood in that sense and be able to experience the stuff that they weren't allowed to when they were younger. And it is like a form of healing, I feel like. Alright, next up we have, I've loved dolls since I was a kid, and while I did play with them, my favorite thing to do was style them and make clothes and accessories for them. It's difficult for me to express myself through my appearance, but since dolls are just small people, I can easily make lots of clothes for them and nobody ever sees them but me. Again, wonderful, a creative outlet. Maybe if you don't feel comfortable for whatever reason doing stuff with your own body and like dressing your own body a certain way, it's really cool to be able to express your style and your likes and dislikes through dolls. Styling each doll's hair and outfit until they're exactly what I envision for their character. Sometimes I change nothing, but sometimes I change everything. Yes, super cute. To quote Marge Simpson, I just think they're neat. I love being able to dress them up and come up with fun and interesting outfits. It's also just nice that I can buy and own them since I used to not be able to. And also it's nice to just be able to appreciate how pretty they are sometimes. 100%. Next up, thrift finds, aesthetic displays, and finding enthusiastic creators. I agree with all of this. I'm terrible at thrift finds. I feel like I have such a hard time finding dolls in thrift stores in my area. Like, sometimes I can find them in, like, antique malls or old toy stores, but I wouldn't consider that thrifting because they're definitely not thrift prices. But the few times that I have managed to thrift a doll, it is so exhilarating. Okay, this next one is a long one, but I feel like I owe it to you guys to like read your comments. Like, you put the effort into posting these, and so I want to read it. So it's kind of long, but it's fine. As a kid, I played with Monster High dolls and Ever After High dolls. When I got to the age that I stopped playing with them, they just sat in a bin in the basement for years. My parents were like, do you want to throw them away or give them away? And I could not find it in myself to give them away. Even though they were just sitting in a bin, I could not find it in myself to throw them out and give them away. So last year I pulled them out of the bin and put them on a shelf, and that's when I started to doll collect. I think the nostalgia and memories that I had with the dolls is what really makes me love them, as well as the fact that they are so pretty and beautiful to look at. The giddiness that I feel when I get a new doll, I love it. Also the fact that I really enjoy taking care of them and doing simple things like brushing their hair and restyling them, switching their outfits here and there. Also, another thing I love is the inspiration I get. As an artist, I get inspiration from just about anything around me, and dolls are no exception. I love to draw them, and I get so much inspiration from dolls. So to make a long story short, nostalgia and memories, joy from just looking at them and their beauty, the giddy feeling of getting a new doll, taking care of them, including restyles, and art inspiration. Lovely. There's so many reasons, and I think that's really cute. I also think the story about you realizing that you still like held love for your dolls because you couldn't bear to get rid of them is high-key super sweet. I will give you 2 words which you can take to mean whatever you would like: art and detail. Yeah, I definitely, like I said at the beginning of this video, I view dolls as an art form, and there can be so much detail, and it is so wonderful. Okay. I had to take a break to get some water and a cough drop because I'm talking too much. So this person had replied on Instagram, but they also posted here, so I wanted to read kind of the bigger explanation. What I love most is the experience I've shared with my daughter. She got her first Barbie Christmas 2016 at 3 years old, and we still enjoy dolls in 2023. I wasn't into dolls as a kid. I do remember getting a holiday Barbie one year for Christmas, and for my 7th birthday, my grandparents got me all of the new Kids on the Block dolls, but as a kid I was more into music, TV, movies, and roller skating. So again, very cute that this is something that can allow you to bond with your kid. I think that that is super precious. This one is similar to a few other ones that we've gotten. I think I am living my fashion dream with my dolls. I am not able to dress myself in cool outfits, and because of that, instead of clothes, I am buying fashion dolls. Yeah, I get it. I definitely spend more money on dolls than I do on clothes. And like, do I need a new pair of shorts? Yeah, but do I also need the new Little Mermaid dolls that are coming out? Yeah, and which one of those is going to take priority? Then we have, in addition to the 2 messages I left on Instagram, I got into collecting Monster High from a love of creature collecting. My love for Pokemon and the magical creatures of Harry Potter made me want to get into Monster High dolls. So in that tandem with the childhood joy, it reawakened an artistic appreciation of dolls since I realized how great Monster High were as dolls as opposed to just monsters. It opened the floodgates for other doll brands to impress me. I still like mostly just fantasy dolls. I also really love fantasy dolls, so I get that. And then this is the last one, and this is a cute one to end on. The people. I've met so many amazing friends, and I am so thankful for all of them. They give me a reason to wake up every day, and they make me so happy by hyping me up and my content I create on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. My doll friends make me feel good about myself and never let me down or make me feel unwanted or not loved. I never had such a thing in my life, and I'm so happy and thankful for each of my doll friends. And that is so, again, like, it's so emotional and so cute, and I just love it so much. I get it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not good at being social. It's just difficult for me. And assuming that you stay in, like, the good, quote unquote, like the good part of the doll community, assuming that you kind of engage with people who are kinder and more accepting, it is such a loving community to be a part of, and I feel like, again, if you're on the right side of it, it's a lot less judgmental, and it's so much easier to, like, talk to people and bond over this thing, so I 100% get that, and I think it's a beautiful thing to end this video on. So, that's it for today. I know, again, I know this was different, I know it's kind of weird. I guess let me know what you thought. I'm sorry if it was just, like, a lot of reading and kind of more boring for you, but I feel like, again, sometimes in general, the doll community can be pretty negative. I can be kind of critical here on this channel, and also the world is just not always a super friendly place. So sometimes being able to look at the bright side and talk about something that we all share and we all have different reasons to love can be good. So I hope that you guys were able to find some joy in this. I loved reading all of your answers. If you didn't already tell me why you love being a part of the doll community, feel free to drop your reasons in the comments down below. But yeah, that is going to be it. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys!